This question comes from Priya, who asks, if the sun suddenly became a black hole, what would happen to Earth? The first thing to get out of the way is that this can't actually happen. The sun is not massive enough to end its life as a black hole. According to NASA, a star needs to be roughly 20 times the mass of the sun to collapse into one. What the sun will actually do, in about 5 billion years, is expand into a red giant, swallowing the inner planets in the process, and then shed its outer layers and quietly cool into a white dwarf, a dense ball of carbon and oxygen, roughly the size of Earth. It will then spend the rest of eternity slowly fading, but suppose something intervened. Suppose some external force compressed the sun's entire mass into a black hole instantly. What then? The first surprise is what wouldn't happen. Earth would not spiral inward. The planet would not be pulled apart or swallowed up. It would just keep going around, following the same orbit it traces today. This is because gravity doesn't depend on what kind of object is doing the pulling. It depends on how much mass that object has and how far away you are from it. A black hole made from the sun's mass would pull on Earth from 150 million kilometers away with exactly the same gravitational force the sun exerts right now. Every planet in the solar system would continue on its current path, undisturbed. NASA explicitly addresses this, pointing out that a black hole is not a cosmic vacuum cleaner. It pulls no harder on distant objects than the original star did. The event horizon of a sun-mass black hole, the point of no return inside which nothing can escape, would have a radius of about 3 kilometers smaller than most towns. Earth would have to get several thousand times closer than it currently is to be in any real danger of crossing it, and there is nothing pulling it there. What would change? About 8 minutes and 20 seconds after the transformation is everything else. That's how long sunlight takes to travel from the sun to Earth. For those 8 minutes, the sky would look completely normal. The sun would be exactly where it always is. Then, simultaneously, the light would stop arriving, and the gravitational signal of any mass change would reach us, though since we're keeping the mass the same, even that wouldn't change. The day side of Earth would bleed into darkness mid-morning. For anyone outside, it would look like an unusually severe solar eclipse that simply didn't end. The cold would come next, and faster than most people would expect. Within a week, the average global surface temperature would drop below freezing. Within a year, it would reach around minus 100 degrees Fahrenheit colder than anywhere on Earth's surface today, comparable to a Martian winter. The atmosphere would act as a blanket for a while, trapping residual heat, but it would be losing that heat continuously with nothing to replace it. Ocean surfaces would begin freezing over within weeks or months, though the deep ocean, insulated by the ice forming above it, would retain warmth for far longer, possibly thousands of years. Eventually, as physicist David Stevenson of Caltech has calculated, the surface would stabilize at around minus 400 degrees Fahrenheit, the equilibrium point at which the heat leaking out from Earth's interior equals what the planet radiates into space. At that temperature, most of the atmosphere would have frozen solid and settled as a layer of snow on the ground. Photosynthesis would stop within hours of the darkness, and without it the base of the food chain collapses quickly. Most surface life would die within weeks to months, not from cold immediately, but from hunger and the cascading failure of ecosystems that depend on plants. Large trees could survive for decades on stored sugars, but they wouldn't reproduce. The ocean's surface freeze would kill most marine life in the upper water column. What would survive is stranger, the ecosystems clustered around deep-sea hydrothermal vents, which derive energy not from sunlight but from chemical reactions between seawater and the heat of Earth's crust. These communities of tube worms, chemosynthetic bacteria, and unusual crustaceans have no dependence on the sun at all. They would continue as if nothing had happened. They might, in fact, be the last life on Earth. The bacteria especially would be fine. They always are. There is one more thing worth noting about what the solar system would look like from outside in this scenario. With the sun gone as a light source, none of the planets would be lit, the moon would go dark, the planets, which shine only because they reflect sunlight, would disappear from the sky. The black hole at the center of the solar system would be invisible, a 3-kilometer object in empty space, emitting no light, surrounded by 8 dark planets continuing their orbits in permanent silence. The solar system would still be there, intact, turning in the dark. It just wouldn't have anyone left to observe it.